After I'm gone, your Earth will be free to live out its miserable span of existence as one of my satellites. And that's how it's going to be.
Yep, I don't know how you're even supposed to avoid death. I mean, I didn't die in this video, but if you saw like at the 2:49 or whatever mark when I get attacked, like it's like a bunch of these, I don't know what they are still, I don't know all the enemy types yet, but clearly some super elite ships or something that just spawn right behind me with an army behind them too, and then I just suddenly take a gigantic amount of damage instantly that almost kills me. But that happens all the time, where I just take it, I die instantly. I've seen some of it's, I've seen like grenades or something that go off like right at my feet as I'm running around, and it's like there's nothing you could do to avoid it. So at least when you're playing like this. So I don't usually die now. I definitely think this build I'm doing, it actually is good for the most part, but it's like, yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to avoid death for those kind of ridiculous fights. By the way, I learned, like, if I ever die, especially if it's because of something like that, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's like the stupidest way to die. Then I just simply dashboard from the game and come back. Because that avoids you losing money. So a little exploit I already learned, because it's like, dude, every time you die in this game, they take 10% of your money away, which is really stupid, I think. It's like paying taxes, honestly. The more you earn, the more they take away from you. So I'm like, no, I'm going to just avoid these taxes by any means necessary. And when I really learned, it's like, oh, if you just dashboard and come back, you don't lose it. I'm like, good. Like, you can even go, if you go into the fight for your life mode, you can still wait to see if you actually can get back up, if you're able to kill an enemy and let you revive again on your own. But if you don't, you have all the time in the world, because you don't really lose your money until you actually finally get revived in the robot and you see the money get taken away from you. All the way up to that point, if you just dashboard from the game, like forcibly close the game, however you can do that on your system, then you won't lose the money. So now it can't, like, when I'm like going through the main story though, where it's happened, the annoying thing if you do that though is that all the enemies will of course respawn before your next checkpoint. So there's been a couple moments where I'm like, fine, take my money, because I don't feel like fighting all those waves again leading up to that point. But other times, especially if my checkpoint was like right next to the wave, like if I get killed by the wave that was right next to the checkpoint, so it's not like it would be that big of a deal if I did it anyway, then yeah, I'm just dashboarding. Like almost every death I've experienced in this game, I always thought was, well, that was like, crap. That was unfair. So I'm hoping in the future you can make like obviously my build is nowhere near done. I'm still a low level. So I'm hoping that's the main reason. And once I get an in-game build, or I start, because I already see ways in the future to start stacking even more shield and damage mitigation, percentages compared to where I am now later on, like have more synergy for that. Maybe once I can do that, I won't just die instantly from nonsense like that, so I can actually recover. But I don't know, when I looked online briefly, it looked like people had some similar complaints. And it looked like everyone was like saying this, it's like, yeah, I'm level 50, and that crap still happens all the time. Like, I don't feel any stronger. Oh, man. Well, we'll have to wait and see. However, I have to say, though, I'm still massively enjoying this game. Like, I hate that stuff. The last boss fight in my video, I hated that boss, too. I definitely do not like... I am not a fan of hardly any of the bosses. They aren't nearly as annoying as the bosses in, like, Warframe or Destiny. I actually didn't get that far in Destiny. But definitely I remember Warframe's bosses, First Descendants, where they literally just force you to obviously be in a team for them, and also force you, like so many of those bosses are just forced DPS checks, where if you are a tank, you literally have no chance, period, of ever beating them, because they just have some stupid instant wipe mechanic that you can do nothing about unless you have enough damage. Thankfully, I haven't encountered that yet. I'm sure it might be coming, because I can tell these bosses are still following, especially the last boss I fought, was following a similar formula for those other annoying looter shooters. So yeah, unfortunately, like, it's still not like Outriders. Outriders, by far, is the best looter shooter I've played when it comes to actually giving the player total freedom and a power fantasy. Like, once you make your epic build, you will trivialize all the content in the game, which is what I want. You'll have challenges along the way to keep you, interested in, like, still, like, all right, I'm still being challenged some, but once you like make that build, it's supposed to be a power fantasy where you feel like, yeah, I'm just so OP now that I just, can just blow through everything. This game has more of that, I would say, than Warframe. And it is better at that than Warframe, First Ascendant, Destiny. Like, you definitely have more of a power fantasy in this game. Because I'm like, then again, I'm on normal difficulty, I'm not on hard. But I remember even in those games, like, I obviously when I was a newbie, I would still play on normal. And I still remember dying more often, encountering more, crap mechanics on bosses that just infuriated me. It made me rage quit. It was like, oh, it's no longer just a stupid point and shoot, which is all I want, frankly. I hate stupid gimmicks where it's like, oh, he's have an invulnerability phase. You got to shoot him on the head to get him out of it. You got to chuck these things at his back. When he goes into that, you got to dance on your tiptoes and summon rain or some nonsense. I mean, I just point that out to say how stupid I always felt they were. I still remember Gluttony in First Ascent, and it's like, oh, you got to shoot all these balls he brings out, and then you got to grab the balls, and you got to toss them at him to prevent his gun from heating up. That will wipe all the players if you'd let it get too far. I'm like, oh, I hate that stuff now. I hate those boss mechanics in every game, so I never have fun with the bosses. But I have to say, this game's a little bit better than that. I've had more fun with the bosses I fought because even though they definitely had stupid mechanics like that, the last one for sure. The first couple are just like, they felt like just glorified, harder enemies that you have to dance around more, but still just shoot until they die, basically, which is all I want, frankly. So this game's better at it, but it's still not like Outriders. But I will say the story of the game, the characters, the dialogue, the open world aspect, the content, I can already tell is probably going to be superior to Outriders to compare it to that game that I'm coming from. And definitely superior to Destiny and Warframe. Like, I had zero First Ascendant. I had absolute zero interest in anything going on in those games because it was so poorly executed. Both the open world and the stories and the quests, in my view. I couldn't care less about that stuff. This game, I really like it. Even the open world, like in Destiny and Warframe, those games, they called it free roam, and it really was, because I didn't feel like there was much going on in the world when I roamed around other than just like, oh, look, start this quest and do the exact same thing again. And there's no characters, there's no interesting things going on. That's still true to some extent in this game, but not nearly as much. Like, if you saw my previous videos, like, there's like random side quests and characters you encounter, and there's even occasional cutscenes, and I'm like, this is actually well executed and great. I also love my character. Like, Eamon's dialogue, I love listening to his ridiculous, knighthood dialogue. It's just amazing. It's like, oh, what the way he just talks and says, like, oh, there's some line in the previous quest. I think that side quest I did my last video, where at the end of it, he's like, or you learn that they're only trying to get hairspray for themselves, which is obviously funny and ridiculous at the end. And then my character Eamon's like, it's not the mane that makes the warrior. Saying it like that, and I'm like, dude, I loved it. I remember saying out loud, I was like, oh man, I love this game. this freaking personality and dialogue is really funny. Fun. And it reminds me, like, the world, I still wouldn't say the open world and the stories are as good as Fallout, for instance. That's just meant for that, but it honestly comes pretty close. And obviously, unlike that game, the combat is way better, of course. And it honestly feels like a cartoon Doom with, like a cartoon Doom for combat and, like, enjoyment of, dashing around, getting that power fantasy, obliterating everything with so many different, guns. The gun variety I really love too. And skills are pretty well done, even though I wish I could use them more. But, like, they have long cooldowns. But still, they're also fun. So you definitely, again, that power fantasy is really great with the combat. I love it. It's one of the best parts of the game and beats a lot of other games. But unlike those other games, it also actually has a compelling story, characters, and side quests that are interesting, and even an open world that even, to an extent, feels like an open world if you roam around. There's like factions and people that, quests that just pop out of nowhere you're able to just do. And yeah, most of it's going to be combat oriented, but that's also fine because that's the best part of the game anyway. So yeah, this is a great game overall. I would probably give it maybe an 8 out of 8.5 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. I still have to play the end game and get to the end game grind and the long grinds of the game to really rate it completely at that point. But right now, at least, I'm enjoying it so much that I would say, initially when I played the tutorial, I was like, I wasn't sure, especially because I didn't like the tutorial. But now I'm like, nope, this is actually a really good game. It still has its flaws, like I've just said. Some flaws that I really don't like, too. But everything else I really like, though. So, yeah, I'd say like 9 out of 10, maybe, at this point. Not perfect. It's still not the perfect game, but it's getting really high up on my list now.